Hey listeners, we're nearing the end of our 15th anniversary fundraising campaign, and we need your help to meet our goal. This campaign offers you a chance to win a unique food and music experience in one of the most exciting cities in America. Here's how it works. Donate to HRN and you'll be entered to win dinner for two and 2 tickets to a concert in one of 8 amazing cities: New York, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Nashville, Las Vegas, Charleston, Ardmore, Pennsylvania, and Asheville. All donations support our work educating food system storytellers. And when you donate, you can choose one of those cities and you'll be entered to win dinner and 2 tickets to a show. So help us reach our goal and enter to win dinner and a show in the city of your choice. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15. Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by Square. If you run a restaurant or business, Square has the tools to help you stay connected to customers, shift your business, and navigate this uniquely challenging time. Learn more at square.com/go/greatnation.
Welcome to the Grape Nation, your weekly wine journey. Our guests are Billy Durney and Jeff Porter. We'll talk to Billy and Jeff about life during COVID-19, natural wine, barbecue, of course, and a lot more. I'm your host, Sam Ben-Ruby. Stay with us for the Grape Nation on the Heritage Radio Network. We bring wine to the people. Brooklyn's own Billy Durney grew up to follow in his dad's footsteps. After a long career in private security, Billy left to pursue his love of barbecue. As a kid, he got a whiff of that burning barbecue wood at his grandma's house in Pennsylvania and later in Texas at Louis Miller's. He opened Hometown Barbecue in Red Hook, Brooklyn in 2013, and the rest, they say, is history. He later opened Red Hook Tavern and a Hometown Barbecue in Industry City and Miami. He has also brought his love of natural wines front and center at Red Hook Tavern. Jeff Porter left jobs on the West Coast to come east and spend over 10 years at the Batali Bastianich Hospitality Group, including Del Posto. Jeff ultimately rose to beverage operations director for the group. He is now a hospitality and beverage consultant based out of New York City and has a deep love and knowledge of Italian wines. Billy and Jeff, we had you scheduled to be live in the studio on April 1st. But the COVID-19 virus hit the fan, so we had to cancel. So we are now doing a remote. The three of us are sitting somewhere remotely talking into a mic, recording via Zencaster. So, guys, I want to welcome you to the Grape Nation finally.
Good to be here.
Thank you for having us. We're happy to be here.
All right, so what I want to do is I want to spend part of the show discussing how the COVID-19 virus has affected you. But before we get into that, Billy, and Jeff, I want to give our listeners a little context about who you are. So, Billy, you could start. Give me a quick history of your journey in life, food, and wine that got you sort of to current, which is Hometown Barbecue, Red Hook Tavern, and you know what you're doing now. We'll talk about COVID after, and then when he's done, Jeff, you know, you jump right on. So, Billy, go.
Yeah, so my culinary journey started with really bad barbecue in the backyard in Old Mill Basin, Brooklyn, with my dad. Grilling burgers and hot dogs until they were like hockey pucks, and and drinking and watching my granddad drink Schlitz out of a can. So that's kind of where my culinary and life of wine and spirits has started. So
Okay.
So I've come a long way since then. But I'm a kid, grew up in the Flatbush section of Brooklyn. Middle class family, hardworking family. Always cherished my dad and wanted to be just like him, and tried to go into the military and kind of follow his route through that path, and wound up not being able to do that because I found out I was actually born with one kidney randomly enough. So
Wow.
yeah, really random. And then kind of grew up, and my dad was a security expert when he got out of the military, and kind of followed in his footsteps that way. And one thing led to another, and I had a really, wonderful career traveling around the world in private protection. And my love of food and wine really happened there as I got to travel around the world and see other cultures and how they cooked, and specifically how they cooked with wood fire. And then it was a trip to a little dusty town called Taylor, Texas, that really revolutionized, who I would become as a person and where my career path would take me. That place obviously was Louis Miller Barbecue, and such a special place for me to have kind of cut my teeth, if you will. And then, all along that route, I've always had, a passion from afar for wine, and then when I started to really dive deep into drinking wine, probably about 7-8 years ago, I really caught the bug pretty fast. And as Jeff will tell you, like when I get into something, I dive pretty deep, and I dove deep into wine, and now consider myself every day just a student of wine. So that's kind of the quick version of that. And obviously, Hometown Barbecue was opened in 2013. We got taken out by Hurricane Sandy.
Right.
Took about another year to get back on our feet there. Rebuilt the community, and again, as you said, the rest is history, and I'm sure we'll get into the other stuff later.
All right, so I have two quick questions on the history. I don't want to dwell on this or get into it, nor do I want any specifics, but your security gig, you sort of understated it. I mean, it was a lot more fun than what you said. How would you describe what I'm describing?
Well, all great protection people don't talk about their protectees or their.
But
their
what
life
type
within
of
the
people?
protection.
What type of people were you protecting?
I would say that I protected. In my protection career, I've protected everyone from Nobel Peace Prize recipients to foreign dignitaries to A-list Hollywood celebrities.
Right.
Yeah,
so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Now,
I mean, it's the thing about it is, I'm not sure. I honestly not sure I would categorize it as fun. I mean, it's a serious thing to be tasked with,
Right.
Protecting someone's life and their privacy. So, it's fun to be able to travel around the world, but I think everybody who travels for a living, and especially the amount of traveling that I had to do at one point, I think, living out of a suitcase and living someone
Right.
else's life.
That's
and
not fun.
It's not fun. And ultimately why I left the protection community and why I left to do something that obviously is such a passion for me now is because I was living someone else's life. And although their life was fabulous and traveling on private jets all around the world, you would think is fun.
Right.
Maybe it's fun if it's your life, but when it's not your life and you're leaving behind a young daughter and you've already kind of
Right.
went through one marriage and now you have this other marriage that you want to make sure is whole, things take priority. So, there was fun parts of it, don't get me wrong. But
Right. That was the wrong word. I think interesting would have been fair.
It is very interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, it is very interesting. I got to meet, heads of state and people all over the world, and and those contacts are still, some of my closest friends in the world. And if it wasn't for my career in the protection community, I wouldn't have had so much exposure to wood-fired cooking in South America,
Right.
and I wouldn't have had any exposure to all the fine dining places and all the great places that I've seen people drink special bottles of wine that I always dreamed of possibly drinking. So,
Right.
and now I get, because I know Jeff Porter, I get to even sniff those wines.
Right, the good stuff. Now, one last thing. I told you 2 questions. Walking through the door at Louis Miller, that solidified in your mind what you were going home and doing, right?
I get the chill. I literally got I got the chills when you just said it. If you could see me in person now, my arms, the hairs are standing on my arms. Yeah, to this day, that just someone else saying your first steps into Louis Miller Barbecue made you reminded you that this is what you were going to do for the rest of your life, still makes the hair stand on my arms, and that will be true forever. That place is, there's a reason they call it the Cathedral of Smoke. It's a very special room. It's a very special family. It's a very special history, and from afar, I'll always be indebted to just that random trip. Walking in that door, and obviously Wayne and I are the closest of friends, and I consider him a mentor, and he's been a great friend to me, and I to him. And it's funny walking through that door for the first time, having that impact, and then being able to a couple years later tell him that story, and now many years
Right.
later be able to call him one of my closest friends is just a journey that I can't tell you how special it is to me.
Very cool. It used to be a distant place that people heard about and never got to Texas, but I think you can get it on Gold Belly or something now, which is crazy.
You can. And I'm
You can
sure
get
it's
like a
pretty good on
3-4
Gold Belly,
pound
too.
brisket, which is nuts. All right, Jeff, you've had a pretty good career in wine. Take me to the current. I mentioned a few things you're doing, but take me through that.
Right. So I'll begin with the, and you'll see where this connection with Billy and I comes. I'm from Texas originally.
Okay.
And I started in wine when I was in college at a place called Central Market. And then I got to California, did that for a while, and then came out here to the East Coast when one day Joe Bastianich called me. I was working for Nancy Silverton at Mozza, and he said, "Do you want to come out and run Del Posto?" And I'm like, yes. Because to me, Del Posto was kind of this cathedral and of Italian wine, this bridge between Italy and the States. And the list was dynamic, and I'd read about it, and I'd never been there before, and so I came out, and he gave me 4 weeks to move. I made it in 5 with my wife, and we moved out here, and we lived on people's couches because we couldn't find an apartment for a while, and it just really took off. And I went. I think one reason Billy and I are so akin to each other is we're both manic in the terms of when we love something and are interested in something, we just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And my love for Italian wine began in Napa Valley when I worked at this restaurant called Trevina. But it really, and then Mozza took it to that step. But then when I was at Posto, being around those older vintages, talking to producers almost on a daily basis, it just lit a fire under my entire body to understand what this country was about. One little itty bitty country with 1,000 different varietals, how it could be so unique and so singular in the world of wine. And even amongst that, I was studying for my Master Sommelier exam, which I didn't pass. I sat twice, and then I had a kid, and I got promoted to run the corporate program for the whole company, and that was a lot of work. And then I just kept going and met Billy, and we've stayed friends, and we drink wine together and talk. And then one day, I saw an article in Eater saying, Billy wants to do natural wine at Hometown Barbecue. And I literally picked up the phone and said, Billy, we've talked about working together. Let's do this.
But I asked you before, if you look at Del Posto, it's like, I don't think the word anti is fair, but it's sort of the anti-natural wine place, even though a lot of those producers grow naturally and all that. What was the connection? Is that a personal like of yours? You drink it at home,
Absolutely. I mean, it's a personal philosophy that I've had since I lived and worked in Napa. And when I was in Napa, that's when I really got to learn about viticulture, and you could see the difference between what I call Mordor vineyards. They literally look like death, and then living vineyards. And it's always been my MO to promote those people who treat the earth in the way that's best for not just the wines, but for the people. Right. And that's kind of a lifestyle. I'm married to a person from Los Angeles who grew up, working at the Bodhi tree and her parents were hippies. So that's kind of our MO
great.
As a family too.
It's great. That's great.
And
Very cool.
I also married a woman
that
from Olympia,
it's not something
Washington.
I've been a vocal
Can you
person
hear me?
about.
Yeah. Billy,
Sorry
you were
about that.
saying you
Jeff,
married.
sorry to interrupt you, Jeff. I married a woman from
Yeah.
Olympia, Washington, who's also daughter of hippie parents as well.
Which is Billy. That's the opposite of your upbringing, right?
100.
That's so funny.
My wife
Mine
and
too.
I, Jeff could tell you, he knows my wife very well. Literally could not be the more polar opposite of human beings. It's very, very funny.
That's why it works. So Jeff,
it works well. Yeah.
So
Sorry,
Jeff, you left the restaurant biz and you went on your own to do to do education, consulting, and all that, and that's currently what you're doing, right?
Right, exactly. And
Right.
I wanted to do more than just Italy, and part
Right,
of that
you were-
was to I not that I'm pigeonholed. Italy is my passion. It's my love. I live an Italian lifestyle, but I love the entire world of wine, and I wanted the ability to work in that greater world again.
Right. So getting out of the box of a restaurant that features that gives you the opportunity.
Exactly.
Well, I think
Right.
a funny part of this is that people pigeonhole me into being this like overly passionate guy about natural wine, and Jeff being overly enthusiastic about conventional wine. And with all full disclosure, it was a big conversation Jeff and I had before we kind of partnered on all this, is because that was my thought too. And at the time, Jeff could tell you I was definitely a little more lopsided as far as where my education and focus was on natural wine, and questioning on whether or not we would make a great team because he came from such a conventional world. And I learned within 5 minutes of talking to him that I had heavily underestimated the fact that he was so well versed in the complete wholeness of the wine world. And it was, it's kind of don't judge a book kind of concept. Jeff coming from this really conventional world of wine, and me coming from this, new
Right.
school thought. But when we both talked about our feelings about wine, it all came back to one thing. And I think Jeff would agree: the grower and the farmer, and how they treat their land and how they cultivate their wine, and what are their procedures, and why are they making the decisions they make. And there's that really fed this relationship to blossom and really bloom as it has.
It's really about, the wine is really about the people, the story, and the land and the farming, and that's what's compelling to me, and obviously that's what's been compelling to you guys. I mean,
Certainly.
that's the story.
Absolutely.
Billy, you're all about community. You're all about loyalty. You specifically look out for the health and welfare of your staff. What I want to know is, take me to the point when the COVID-19 thing really started to get hairy, and when you realized, that moment that your life was going to change because you had to close the restaurant, and kind of take me to what happened after that. You became very proactive, and did whatever you could. So I would love you to talk to me a little about that. And Jeff and I were talking offline, and he's over there too, he told me. So
yeah.
I'm really, I like I said earlier, I wanted you guys on because this is the part I really want to hear. A guy like Billy Durney, who put his life into this, gets smacked in the head. Now, what do you do?
Yeah, I think it's funny that I didn't want to talk about the protection thing, but it's so funny that the one thing in protection with great protection people is when there's a lot of chaos around you is when you got to become very still and very focused on what your mission is. So, I actually like the term you use, getting smacked in the head, because we certainly all have been smacked in the head by this horrendous virus. But my skill set really lends itself to kind of being able to get calm and focus. And Yeti was kind enough to make a video on my life story, and in that video my father basically gives our family motto, and it's when times are at their worst, we become our best. And it's something that I've been told every day of my life, basically since I'm a little boy, that has to be the case. And so for me, it was a time to be reflective on the promises that I made for my team, and my family at work, and how do I achieve closing the restaurants but somehow making them whole. And the truth of the matter is I couldn't do that, and I was very hurt by the fact that when people come to hometown, I'm notorious. I think Jeff knows this. I've never seen a resume in the history. I have 140 something employees, including Miami, and I've never seen a single resume, not one.
You make
never.
the connection in person. I mean, you could
That's
look
it.
You could look
That's
in
it.
someone's eyes and know.
Yeah, and sometimes you're wrong, but at least you're wrong
Right.
on you're wrong on your merit. You're wrong, and you took a shot. And that piece of paper, or where you went to college, or we don't have any graduates from Harvard and MIT on my staff. Whether you're I don't even mean the restaurant staff. I mean like human resources,
Right.
organizationally. The girl who runs my COO is my best friend for 35 years of life, and Dorian Scagnelli, and she completely changed the way our company runs. So all the people I surround myself with at the management level are all people that I trust. With my life, and the bottom line is, when this happened, for me, when I interview everybody, I make them a promise, and I say, we're going to nurture you, we're going to allow you to grow, and I'm going to personally protect you in some way, shape, or form. And I just felt like I was leaving. I was just totally vulnerable, and I was leaving them vulnerable because I had to furlough a lot of employees. So the immediate reaction was, that I disappointed them, and then they were quick to react to me and say, hey, you don't ever disappoint us, and you're always there for us. And that made me feel good for about a half a second. And then I said,
Right.
I had to say, well, what action can I take to prove that? And then we started to put a plan into action to, keep as many people as we could employed in a very, very safe way. And then how do we do a couple other things? How do we feed our community? And then how do we feed the ones that need it the most as well? So we kind of took on this 3 or 4 part concept that we would open the restaurant. We didn't care if we turned a profit. We didn't care what happened, but we would employ people. We'd be able to get our food out to the community to give them sustenance, and then we would definitely always have this philanthropic thing, which came in the form of Greg Backstrom and Ed
From
Lee
Olmsted?
From Olmsted. Ed Lee had approached us to be part of his Lee initiative, and quite frankly, I was just so busy with getting, catching my breath and getting all these people taken care of that I didn't call Ed back. And I had found out that Ed reached out to Greg, and then Greg and I spoke, and Greg and I decided to partner up with the Lee initiative to feed all the industry employees. So we did the smoking of the meats, and then with all full disclosure, Greg did all the heavy lifting. He had a very small team of people working around the clock 7 days. But we did partner with that, and we did all the smoking of the meats. We would deliver the meats to Greg, and then Greg would make the sides and stuff like that. But Greg also took the initiative to go get feminine hygiene products and donate it, and diapers and formula. So he deserves a lot of that credit. But we got very heavily involved in the Lee initiative, and then through the Lee initiative, it's always our duty, where Red Hook is, we're so passionate about where we live and operate. Red Hook has always been, one of the loves of my life. And so we now do a lot of outreach to the churches to feed a lot of the folks in Red Hook. So we deliver hundreds and hundreds of meals every week to several churches in Red Hook. And then we had this angel donor concept that we put into place thanks to two friends of mine, Sean Fahey and Brian Riano, that started to make these donations where we can then feed the first responders. So for the last 10 weeks, we've been feeding the people from the Lee Initiative, people from Red Hook, the community in Red Hook who needs it the most, and then we've fed thousands of first responders as well. So
Did that give you the opportunity to sort of ramp back up and bring people in? People
yes,
that you
it
furloughed?
has. Yeah, it did. It little by little, the sales would increase as far as takeout and delivery and pickup and all that stuff. So we started this whole project with bringing back 5 employees at Hometown and 5 employees at Tavern. So we had 10.
Right.
And then it grew and grew and grew. And now we are actually one of the PPP loan recipients that it's actually working for, because we are open and operating and now have, a lot going on. So we're able to do all this work
Nice.
with a lot of employees. So that was kind of the thing, right? It was how do you take care of your staff, how do you take care of your community, and then how do you take care of the people that are taking care of us, the first responders. So we kind of put in a section of what we were doing as a team to all those areas, and
Right.
that's what we did.
Now, Jeff, you told me you're working with Billy literally, at Hometown.
He's the salad man.
He's 1 day a week. He told me he's trying to get promoted to 2, but we'll see how that works out.
Let me tell you something. Jeff could do whatever he wants. He's one
But
of the
Jeff-
best humans in the world.
Jeff, you had this whole wine thing going. You became independent. You got out of the shadow of Del Posto, Joe Bastianich, and all that. And you're relying upon restaurants and people in the business and all that, and it just stops and dies, right? So what happens to you? I mean, how do you react to that?
The first reaction I had was, what can I do to use any of the platform I have to help my colleagues who all lost their jobs. Right. I am very fortunate. My wife has a really good job. My wife works for NYU Medical School, so that was a very sound, easy. That there was a platform that we had, and so the first thing was talking to all my friends from Del Posto, from Babbo, from all the restaurants around us, talking with Billy, like what can we do to help, and if that's Instagram, working with Roar, working with the IRC, the New York Restaurant Coalition, anything that we could do to get the word out and, I talked to Congress people and wrote letters and did all that thing. So that was step one.
Right.
And then step two, is since my wife's the breadwinner, I needed to be with my daughter and do homeschool and focus on that. And then in the meantime, just that's when I started doing these things on Instagram, doing these like cooking shows and cocktail thing with friends of mine, just to kind of keep some levity out there, but also, just keep informing people, this is a time where you can hone your cooking skills, you can drink good wine. There's good wine at all sorts of prices, and communicating with retail stores and trying to get the word out about them. That's kind of what I've been doing. And then Billy called me a few weeks ago and said, hey, we got PPP. Do you have time to come back and help out and establish this next phase in the operation of COVID? And I was like, hell yeah, I do. And the past 2 weeks we've been setting up, Red Hook Tavern Hometown Part 2. Right.
That's great. Billy, how are your people that work with you? How are they doing? I mean, are they?
They're
I
great.
know
They're inspired.
They are. So they're upbeat and financially.
Yes.
I mean, they're working and they see some light, right?
Yeah, I mean, we this is our business for me for a long time. I will not be one of the restaurant owners or cooks that open to you walking into my facility with a mask and me taking your temperature, or my staff greeting you at your table with a paper menu and a mask. I mean, I will not be one of those people. So until there is a way to get back to why we all love to dine and go out so much, which is to have this amazing experience of food and wine and cocktails and beer, and engage our friends and our loved ones the way we love to do it at the special places that we believe that we've created. Until you're able to do that the way you've done it in the past, this is my new business, and this is how I have to change with the current time. Now, if there comes a time where New York City opens up and other people open their restaurants, then more power to them. That's what they want to do. But that will not happen for us. So I had to let my team know that this is the future for us until there is a more till there's more information about the virus, till there's more information about a vaccine for the virus. But the one thing I won't do is put them at risk, nor anyone else who enters our facility as a guest. So that is never going to happen. So that being said, this being our new business, we're just trying to be as good as we can at this being our new business. So we want to make sure the quality of the food when it gets to you is similar to what you'd have in the restaurant, and your experience is as good if possible. So as far as Hometown is concerned, we've kind of got it down to a science, and a Red Hook Tavern is going well, but I think, Jeff brings so much amazing value into our group and at Tavern, because we want to come up with new and interesting ways to get wine to people, and obviously we reduce our prices on the wine to basically a retail level, and
everyone's doing that.
Yeah, and listen, people.
It's okay. You want to move, yeah.
Yeah, and listen, it's not for us. It's not even, it's about and these are wines like we have a very heavily allocated wine list, and we're selling wines that you can't go into your local. Listen, we support going to your local wine shops. We want everybody to shop in your local wine shops, and we also want to give people opportunities to be able to have things that we offer as well. So. For us, bringing Jeff on to kind of create this Red Hook Tavern general store was really an interesting way. And a lot of people are obviously doing provision markets and this kind of thing. And I think it's wonderful. I mean, one of the, talking about Olmsted and like other friends of ours doing these things, they're doing a fabulous job. And I don't know if you guys have ever interviewed anyone, James O'Brien over at Popina.
Yeah, I haven't yet. He'll be on.
Yeah, he's one of the great.
He's a great wine program, great restaurant, great guy.
Yeah, one of the most underrated guys I think in New York City in the wine community.
I think people who know, but more people,
of course,
people need to know.
Yeah, more. Well, that's why anytime I get a chance to talk about Popina and Chris and James, I take that opportunity, because not only is it one of the best, reserve lists around. You can't get a better guy pouring you wine, and it's just they're all heart, and that's the kind of people Jeff and I. He's part of our little drinking friendship, and so like they're doing all these grocery stores as well, and we support what they're doing, and we're just trying to make ours a little unique to what we do at the tavern, because what they do at Popina obviously is an Italian Southern kind of vibe. Is different from what we're doing at like a classic New York tavern. So we're just doing our little thing. Jeff is spearheading.
I want to talk about the wine program with Jeff, and we'll get into that. But I just want to go backwards for a second. You guys know a ton of people in the business, other restaurant people and all that. Billy, what you described to me, and the question I was going to have is, when do you think you open, at what capacity? And you answered it. But it's different than I think what a lot of people would like to do or are planning to do. I think they're waiting for the date, and they're going to figure out if they could do it or not. That's not in your sights, right? You're not going to not going to do it until you feel it that it's right. So that could be.
Yeah, I'm so hardlined on this subject that no one can shake me off of it. And the beauty of my business is that I am. It's not like I have anyone to answer to. I own the business, and I do have investors who own a small percentage of the business. But at the end of the day, the beauty of the investors that I chose all align directly with me in every way, shape, or form.
You're like the Steinbrenner of barbecue.
Well,
right? They all bow to him. You make the decision. Here's the money.
I feel
right?
Like we're all. That's so funny. But I feel like we're all aligned in the sense that we all. I have the head one. One of the heads of neurosurgery at NYU is one of my investors. Clearly he's not gonna support.
Opening early.
I mean, what I'm saying is we align. The reason I chose the people I chose is because they align with me socially and on our base, and our base concept of how the world should look is all the same. Sean Feeney and from Lily and Missy is someone who is involved, and he's the one actually who helped me put the investor group together. And so we have very our morals, our standards as far as those kind of things are extremely high. And hey, listen, if someone could everyone has to do what's best for them, their families, their teams, etc. And for me, I made a clear decision many weeks ago when this started that for me personally, this is the course of action. That if you could not come in to Red Hook Tavern and be greeted by my guy Benny at the door with a big smile and a hug, and you couldn't be sat and you couldn't see our general manager or our sommelier come to that table and talk to you about wine, and you couldn't have our great team take your order and deliver your food to you the same way in this wonderful setting,
you ain't doing it.
I ain't doing it. Period. It's not going to happen. And listen, my peers who decide to do that, I fully support and back their decision to what they have to do and what they think is right for their team and their family. But for me, it's not ever going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
All right, so all that being said, and I admire you for that, and I support it, and you're lucky that you have people that support you. All that being said, how long do you think it will take to get back to any sense of normalcy, which in your case would be able to do it the way you did and the way you want?
Well, I think for me, This is going to sound so weird, like I watch CNN too much, but I don't. I stopped watching CNN and all those things, all those shows about COVID a long time ago because they were freaking me out. But the truth is, I leave that into the scientists' hands. I don't have any clue about when that time frame is, and I think that
just like Trump, you're leaving it to the scientists.
Yeah. Unfortunately, oh my goodness, please. That's
all
an
right.
hour. That's 6 hours we could talk about.
No, I know. I didn't mean to get that up. So obviously, vaccines and stuff.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Sam. But I think the real true answer is I leave that up to medical science to predict that. For me, if it's 6 months, great. If it's 12 months, great. If it's 18 months, great. The one who takes the entire brunt of all it financially is me and my partners, and we're the ones that don't have and me the most. I mean, my partners, it's a small percentage that they own. So financially, it hurts me the most.
Right.
What hurts me the most is hurting my team the most that can't be doing what they love to do. We have an amazing bunch of human beings that really are responsible for all the successes. I got it going and I did all that stuff, but it's really them carrying the flag for me now. It's it's the Kenneth Crums and the Johans and the Mitch Rosens, all these people, Mike Conlins of the world. That these are the guys and gals that are running my companies now, and they're the ones that are the most affected by it. So it's my promise to them to protect them that hurts me the most. So
you'll get there. So Jeff,
we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, and we'll know more as time goes by. Billy, you mentioned this, but Jeff, it sounds like Red Hook Tavern is gonna morph into something very cool and soon and all that, with wine as a focus too. I mean, Jeff, just tell me a little about when and what people are going to see.
So we've, just going back a little bit, like the putting together with Billy and Kenneth Crum, who worked with me at Lupa, and he came over as the GM and beverage director. For me in my career in 20 years, it's the most fun, beautiful list I've ever had the honor of being a part of. And I think when you look at the list, it shows people what drinking good wine, not just expensive wine, but good, like that whole big word meaning good, like it's grown well, it's made well, it has it has soul. The entire list reads that way, and that's what's so beautiful about it. And when Billy and I were talking about the general store, because of what's going on, we still want people to have some connection to the experience of Red Hook Tavern. And we've got a great menu. Johan, who's the executive chef there, has put together this great to-go menu. And the piece that we were missing was people didn't have access to our wine list. And so starting June 1st, we'll have the general store, which has on our website all the wines from the wine list.
Tell me the website quickly.
redhooktavern.com.
Okay.
And you go there and you go to the little button that says order, and it shows the menus of the wine, the beer. We've got local beers, Folks Beer, Duchess Ale, Other Half, and working on some other things like that. But the wine list is the core of what we have in our wine list. And as we keep evolving it, we'll bring in new wines. I'm looking for a chillable red 6-pack to sell. And talking with distributors and importers right now.
Right, you got to go seasonal.
Exactly. And, the Billy and I's kinship and love for food and wine and what it means together, not in necessarily just the pairing sense, but the cultural aspect of it, the meaningfulness of food and wine being together is so important, and having that Red Hook Tavern experience at home is what we want people to do. And that's our goal with this.
The list is about diversity. It's like, Del Posto is heavy Italian. Does it lean any, country, like Loire or Jura, or is it all over the place?
It's France heavy.
Okay.
And at the moment, it leans more like when you include the whites, And I mean, yeah, you include everything. It would be Burgundy dominant. So, in Burgundy being the giant
Well, there's
whole
a reason
Burgundy,
for that.
Chablis to Beaujolais, and
Nice.
everything in between. We have a lot. So like, we have a Chablis 6-pack. That's our favorite. We all love Chablis, and one of my frustrations when I used to go out a lot in the city is I go to most restaurants and they'd have like 4 or 5 Chablis, and it was always like Dovisat,
Ravenel. You couldn't
like,
afford that crap.
shit I couldn't afford.
Right.
And so I
Now we
sat with
drink
Billy. I was like,
Tribute.
Billy, you love Chablis. I
Right.
love Chablis. Let's have the greats, but there's a whole nother like section of growers. Like I'll take Baru. I love Baru Chablis. It falls into
the maker?
natural camp.
Jeff, is that the maker, Baru?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spell it.
Yes, sir.
Spell it
Yes,
for our
sir.
listeners.
Beru.
And they make a reasonably priced, high quality Chablis?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
And I
It's
love
delicious.
Moronadette.
Say that again, Bill?
Moronadette.
Moronadette.
Yeah. Moreauneaudet.
Those are killer.
I'm going to
Yeah.
post all of that. So June 1st, everyone can experience this. They can go to the website, redhooktavern.com. Certainly people in the area will enjoy it. But from what I'm seeing, with all the sort of innovative, aggressive restaurant people are delivering all over. They're traveling all over. They're coming for it. And Billy, I'd make a bet that if you looked at Instagram, one of the most common photographed thing is probably your burger in the last 10 months, right? with the potato wedge. So I think people know.
Yeah.
I think people know where they're coming. Let me ask you this:
Yeah.
Do you think, Billy, when that time comes, and Jeff too, when the time comes, when you open at the level you want, do you think people are going to be thinking differently about what they want to drink or what they want to eat? I mean, Billy, in your case, it's comfort food, which I think
Yeah.
people are moving towards. Like, what's his name? Daniel Hum is like, Jesus, I don't know if 11 Madison's going to reopen or open the way it is. Do you think you're going to have to make changes, or you're sort of on the spot of where you should be?
No, I think the beauty of, I always call it playing small ball, right? I kind of know my lane and don't kind of move out of my lane. We cook humble food, comfort food, as good as we could possibly cook it. And, I think that's the lane we'll stay in. I think as far as the wine list goes, I think Jeff and I will always be, the first thing Jeff ever said to me when we drank over 600 bottles of wine to get to that list. Which
Taste
is
it,
about
taste
100.
it, Billy. Taste it.
Taste it, right? Yeah, sorry. I always say drank, and Jeff always reminds me that we didn't drink.
I
we
really
tasted
feel
it.
sorry for you guys.
Yeah. We drank over 600 wines to get to 160 on that list, which. I will tell you that there was an alternate list as well. So it's not like the other 400 plus wines were bad. We just we were really. But Jeff, the thing he said to me that got me was, we're always looking for needles in a haystack. There was lots of times that I didn't even want to see labels to bottles because I didn't want to be heavily influenced by things. We just wanted to taste the wine and see what we really thought of them. So the wine list, I think, will always be looking for that thing that Jeff talks about, which is the needle in the haystack kind of thing that maybe someone else overlooked. Or, Jeff and I were actually talking about, pairing this. We're going to put, for the 4th of July, we're doing this thing with Resi. We're actually doing this thing with Resi over like a 4-week period. And the second week just happens to fall on the 4th of July. So we're putting a corn dog on the tavern menu.
Nice.
And we were talking about what to pair with that. And I was reminded of this really great Riesling, or that, is it an Alsace? Was it a Riesling or an Alsace?
It was Alsatian Riesling.
It was an Alsatian Riesling, right? So, and it was very inexpensive, and it was just something I loved. I had never heard of the producer before.
Who is it?
It was Karl Ehrhardt.
No.
Okay.
That was the German Riesling. I'm sorry. That was
German,
the.
right. I knew I was on
Yeah.
with Riesling. Yeah. It was Karl Ehrhardt who I had, but I was like, oh man, that would be. Oh, the one we're talking about, Jeff, is the one we had at Balthazar. What was that one?
Boxler.
Alfred Boxler.
Alfred
Albert or Alfred, Jeff?
Albert Boxer.
Albert's Boxer. Yeah, that wine is just.
That's also, isn't he organic biodynamic, I think, or something? Organic.
Exactly.
It's I don't know if it's bio, but it's definitely organic. But that wine will knock you out over. I mean,
yeah, I've had it. It's great.
Yeah,
and it's
great.
fairly reasonable.
Yeah, so those were two wines we were talking about for the pairing with the corn dog. But anyway, I think that Jeff and I are always looking for those needles in the haystack and those wines that really say something. Not, listen, I have a full collection of Ravenot and Dauvissat, and I don't and Rouleau and stuff like that, and I love that stuff. But drinking a Walter Scott wine or a like all
Ken
these great
Halo. Yeah.
Well, Halo is my favorite. You just
isn't Walter Scott Ken Palo?
No.
The Pinot?
No,
what am I thinking of? Never mind.
No.
Never mind.
No. Yeah. But Halo, it's funny that you said that because I think I turned you on to that, right, Jeff, or no?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. That's one of the wines that rocked my world in the last 2 years. I mean,
nice.
Just learning about it. But anyway, it's like, it's finding those wines that are very, very unique that not necessarily everybody is. Like, I think that Laura Bissell in California making
Incanu. I was with her out at the Charleston Wine and Food Festival. She's wonderful.
Yeah,
she did a dinner with Greg Olmsted.
She did a dinner at Hometown.
But at the Charleston Wine and Food Festival, it was Laura's wine and Greg's food. I mean, is that a night out or?
They sent me photos of them together.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. It was awesome.
So, and Laura came and we did a whole hog, and we I think it was her Chenin and her rosé and stuff.
Her rosé, yeah.
Yeah, her rosé. I mean, and Laura and I become buddies. But when you find like her, obviously I found her through her Sauv Blanc. That was just like people were just tripping over to drink, and she gave us a great allocation of that, and we sold through that in about a week, and then I probably drank half of it.
You got to calm down.
This episode is brought to you by Square. We all know that this is an incredibly challenging time for our friends running restaurants and small food businesses. With social distancing in place, people are staying home and eating in, and restaurants have had to pivot to pickup and delivery only. HRN would usually be recording our podcast from our studio inside Roberta's. But since they've had to close their dining room, they've ramped up their frozen pizza production, set up a wine and grocery shop, and seen their delivery orders skyrocket. Like Roberta's, many restaurants have been changing offerings day by day as they figure out how to best serve their customers. If you run a restaurant or a small business, Square has the tools to help you adapt. One of these tools is the Square online store. It lets you set up a free online ordering page with curbside pickup and local delivery so you can keep customers safe. You can deliver orders yourself or integrate with delivery partners. Its Order Hub lets you manage all your incoming orders in one place, no matter which delivery partners you choose to use. Square has all the tools to help you stay connected to customers no matter where they are. See everything that's available by visiting square.com/go/greatnation.
Listen, this is a good segue because I have a feature on the show, and I'm more curious and interested about you guys, answering this. I do a thing called the wine list, and I ask all my guests for over 150 shows the same 5 questions. And I want to ask you the 5 questions, and you'll answer them. Billy, you go first, and then Jeff, you go second. Don't dwell on it. Just tell me, and I post these on social media because it's really good intel for my listeners to hear from guys like you and, the Aldo Soames and Raj Pars that I've had on in the past and all of that. So this is the wine list. Everyone's subjected to it. Let's try to buzz through it. We have about 10 minutes left. So the first question is, what are you drinking now? What's in your fridge? What's seasonal? What are you tasting?
Dutrève.
Okay.
So Beaujolais.
Love Beaujolais.
Is
What
it my
else?
turn?
The Moreau Nadet as well.
The Chablis
Ferrets.
or which one?
Yeah.
You guys there?
Yeah.
All right, good enough. Jeff. What are you drinking?
In my fridge right now, I'm drinking a lot of Tiberio Pecorino.
What is that? That's cheese.
I don't even
From
know what
Abruzzo.
that is.
Okay. What is it?
this
A
guy.
white, a red? I mean, what's the grape?
Oh, it's a white. Yeah. It's a white wine from Abruzzo in Italy.
All right. So the maker is who? Who's the maker?
The grape is called Pecorino.
Okay.
It's not a
and-
cheese.
Pecorino.
And who's the winemaker?
Yeah, it's good.
Tiberio?
Tiberio. Yeah. Christina Tiberio. She's a force
right.
of nature.
Okay. And like I said,
Killer
we're going to
grower.
post these. Second question. This is kind of the goofiest on the list, but Billy, favorite wine and food pairing? Not something you eat every
Oh,
night.
this is so easy.
Okay.
Favorite wine and food pairing is fried chicken and Georges Laval champagne.
Okay, fried anything in champagne is great. What about you, Jeff?
I just stole his.
So
Amen.
give me something. Give me what else?
I'm kidding. I don't know what his is.
Jeff, give me your favorite wine and food pairing?
Mine is brisket and aged Barolo.
Oof.
Brisket and that's a good one, man.
Oof.
If I had a pin you to the wall for a maker, could you pluck one out?
The thing that changed my life is Roagna Cricket Paille 1977 and Billy's brisket.
Well, you may have answered a further question, but we'll get to it. All right, guys, think about this. And I don't want you to be exclusive or feel like you're leaving people out. But the question is, what's your favorite wine restaurant and/or bar? What's the place you go to that has a list that mirrors what you like, that the vibe is great, the wine knowledge is good? I mean, give me one or two each.
Jeff, you want to go first?
Okay.
Go.
Yeah, I mean, I think Billy, we're going to be pretty close.
Yeah.
Popina, definitely.
Yeah, Popine is
And
one
then,
for me too.
Company,
it's tough.
did you say?
I'd say Compagnie, and then I
Okay.
also love champagne a lot. So, Compagnie de Vin du Natural and
Right.
Air Champagne Bar.
Oh, yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah. Now, that's Ariel. She's been on
Yeah,
the show.
she's
All right,
awesome.
Billy, you have anything? You mirror that, but do you have anything to add?
Well, I mean, Frank's Wine Bar is
Yeah.
one of the best. I think one of the best lists.
Johnny
And,
Patterson.
Johnny Patterson's one of the great people, and,
Yeah.
and one of Jeff and I's dear friends, and definitely part of our inner drinking crew.
I love John.
And then
John too. I love that place.
Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, and then I will say, Aldo has been a mentor to me from the beginning of this.
So his wine bar?
So his wine bar is a very special
All right.
place for me. Yeah.
Good answers. All right. Tell me favorite all-time wine. When I first asked this question, it sort of pointed towards what's the rarest, most expensive great wine you drank? It sort of morphed into what's the wine that was important to you or moving or, got you into it. Tell me that wine, Billy, and then Jeff, tell me what that wine is.
It's super easy for me. It's Rouleau. It was
Rouleau?
Rouleau. Yeah.
In general, was there a particular time you drank
it was. Jeff, should I tell him the real year or should I tell him the fake year?
Real year.
It's a very long story. but I'm
We don't
gonna
have
tell you
time
that
for a
it
long
was-
story.
It was 2011
Okay.
Marceau Rouleau. That's what it was.
Marceau. Okay. All right, that's perfect. Jeff. This is gonna be a
For
thing.
me, it's Produttore del Barbaresco.
Any one of the bottlings,
And
or
I
the
always just like
regular
this.
one?
To be honest, it's
Like a
Produttore del
Silly or a
Barbaresco
Baja,
classic.
Okay.
No, just the classic one.
Any year?
85. And I had that when I was in my early part of my wine career, and it changed my life.
I love that answer. That's a great one. All right, here's the last question, and I think both of you can handle this. I want you, and I always set up this question. I have kids in their 20s. They're going to a party. They can't bring a crap $9, $11 supermarket wine, and they don't have the jack to spend 40. So they have 15, 20, 22 bucks to walk a wine in that'll impress people. I need a red and a white.
Jeff, you want to go first?
You can give me category. You could say like Muscadet's a great value, or you
I
know,
see.
just Go ahead. Any direction.
Still
on
go
that.
first, Jeff.
I mean, I'm gonna go two places. So I'm gonna go to my passion, Italy, and I think for something that's super affordable and just ridiculously delicious, I would go to and great growers that people overlook all the time. There's killer value and greatness in Chianti Classico that people just don't realize still to this day.
Chianti Classico. You got a maker for me?
Producer that I would say, Eastine, Istine.
ISTINE.
Young woman winemaker, certified organic. She is amazing and just makes wines that are delicious. And then for white, for me, that's just killer value. You know what? I love Godeo from Spain, and I think you can get like really, really ridiculously well-made wine for under $20.
Good ones. Billy, jump in here. What do you got?
I'm gonna go with for sparkling. I think I like setting everything off with sparkling.
That's
I'm
fine.
gonna go with Alice Beaufort.
Alice Beaufort. That's a first for here.
And it's right. Jeff, you want to describe? It's like right outside of Champagne. It's not vintage.
Right.
Did
And
you say the Alice Beaufort?
the Alice Beaufort, the sparkling we sell by the glass. Yeah.
It's delicious.
And
Right,
I'm gonna say for red, I'm gonna go with the Loire, and another wine we sell. I'm gonna go with the Le Hot de Madone from Christian Venier.
Christian Venier. I've had that. All right, so those are good ones. And like I said, I am going to post the wine list, and our listeners get great joy out of the intel, from you guys, because you're certainly embedded in it. We got to wrap the show up. I could sit here easily another hour. Let me do a quick close, and then I want you guys to give me just a little more information. If you have a question, suggestion, wine happening or event, hit me up at sam@thegrapenation.com. That's sam@thegrapenation.com. Subscribe to the Grape Nation podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your pods. If you subscribe, it'll come up, when the show is done. Follow us on Facebook at The Grape Nation, on Instagram at SBenRuby, and Twitter at BenRuby. You could always use the hashtag The Grape Nation on both. Like I said, we will post Billy and Jeff's wine list on our social media sites. And quickly, Jeff, you go first. If people want to find you, where's the best place for them to go? Website? Email?
Instagram, Drink Eat Love.
Okay, so Drink Eat Love, that's your social handle. Billy, any sites for the restaurants if people want more info?
I would love to plug Jeff's TV show, Sip Trip.
I've seen that. So Sip Trip is an Instagram live thing? No.
No.
What?
It's on YouTube.
Okay, so Sip Trip, SIPTRIP, Sip Trip on YouTube. Billy, if people want to...
Yeah, Red Hook Tavern, redhooktavern.com, and then hometownnbarbecue.com. But
Okay.
I'm all
And then-
good. I just wanted to plug Jeff.
I'm glad you did.
Thanks.
And if they want to follow you, it's
At
Durney?
at WDURNEY on Instagram.
Right.
I don't have any other.
All right, and we got about less than a minute. I'm making one last plea. My greatest joy in doing this show is sitting in a studio with people, eye contact, just the whole thing. I miss that. So Billy, Jeff, you have to promise me one thing, that we could all sit around a table, crack a bottle of wine, whether it's at Red Hook or Home Team, and enjoy a meal together. Is that doable?
100%.
Yes, sir. That'd be my
All
pleasure.
right, I want to take you up because it's killing me that I can't see you and talk to you after the show and all that.
We'll host
Yeah.
it.
All right, that's a wrap. So thank you to our guests, Billy Durney and Jeff Porter. Thank you to Dorianne for all her help with this, Billy. Thank you.
Yeah, she's the best.
Thank you to our engineer, Amanda, and everyone at the Heritage Radio Network.
Thanks,
I'm
Amanda.
I'm Sam Ben Ruby, and you've been listening to The Grape Nation. The Grape Nation is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. For our freshest content, subscribe to our newsletter. Enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with us on Instagram and Twitter at heritage_radio. You can also find us at facebook.com/Heritage Radio Network. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization driving conversations to make the world a better, fairer, more delicious place. And we couldn't do it without support from listeners like you. Want to be part of the food world's most innovative community? Subscribe to the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join the HRN family by becoming a member. Just click on the beating heart at the top right of our homepage. And thanks for listening.